Mrs. O.R. Simmons, 343 Temple Drive, is that right?
Yes,
And
we were born and raised there. It's old, but we love it. It's our home.
And you wish to enter your brother here for treatment. Your brother's name?
It's so... I'm sorry, this isn't easy for us.
Mrs. Simmons, what is your brother's name?
We just have to keep holding my head up. That's what I keep telling Myrtle May, and that's what she keeps telling me. She's heartbroken about her Uncle Elwood. Elwood P. Dowd, that's it.
Elwood P. Dowd. His age?
47, the 24th of last April. He's Taurus the bull. I'm Leo, and Myrtle's on a cusp.
Is he married?
No, Elwood never married. He always stayed at home with Mother. He was a great homeboy. He loved his home.
And you have him with you now?
Yes, he's in a taxi cab. I paid the driver $1 to look after him, only I didn't tell him why. You don't tell these things to perfect strangers.
Mr. Wilson, would you step down to a taxi in the driveway and ask a Mr. Dowd if he would be good enough to step up to room 24 South Wing G?
Ask him?
This is his sister, Mrs. Simmons.
How do? Why, certainly. I'd be glad to escort him.
Thank you.
The rate for Mrs. Simmons, you'll find it printed on this card.
Oh, that will all be taken care of by my mother's estate, the late Marcella Penny Dowd. Judge Gaffney is our attorney.
I'll go see if Dr. Sanderson can see you.
Dr. Sanderson? But I want to see Dr. Chumley himself.
Oh, Mrs. Simmons, Dr. Sanderson is the one who sees everybody. Dr. Chumley sees no one.
Well, he's still the head of this institution, isn't he? He's still a psychiatrist, isn't he?
Still a psychiatrist. Dr. Chumley is much more than that. He is a psychiatrist with a national reputation. Whenever people have mental breakdowns, they think at once of Dr. Chumley.
Isn't that his office? You march in there and tell him who's here.
No.
If he knows, he'll come out here.
I wouldn't dare. I'd be discharged if I did, Mrs. Simmons.
Well, I don't like being pushed off onto any second fiddle.
Oh, but Dr. Sanderson is nobody's second fiddle. He's young, of course. He hasn't been out of medical school very long. But Dr. Chumley tried out 12 and kept Dr. Sanderson. He's really wonderful. To the patients.
Very well. Tell him I'm here.
Right away.
Oh, dear. Oh, goodness.
Vina!
Oh,
Isn't this wonderful?
Oh, Elwood. Oh. Oh.
Miss Simmons.
You're Dr. Sanderson?
Yes. Will you be seated, please?
Oh, I hope you don't always think I'm this jumpy.
No, of course not. Miss Kelly says that you're here concerning your brother, Dowd, is it? Elwood P. Dowd?
Yes, he's so... Oh, I'm sorry, Doctor.
Naturally, these things aren't easy for the families of patients. I understand.
It's what Elwood's doing to himself, that's the thing. I mean, Myrtle May has a right to nice friends, and she's young, and she's got her whole life ahead of her. Myrtle May, that's my daughter.
Your daughter. How long has it been since you began to notice any peculiarities in your brother's actions?
Oh, I noticed it right away after Mother died, and Myrtle May and I came back from Des Moines to live with Elwood. I noticed that he...
What? Just take your time, Mrs. Simmons. Don't strain. Let it come. I'll wait for it.
Well, I need to know, Doctor, if everything I'm going to tell you is in the strictest confidence.
That's understood.
Because it is a slap in the face to everything that we have stood for in this community, the way that Elwood is acting
Well,
right
I'm not a
now.
gossip, Mrs. Simmons. I'm a psychiatrist.
Well, for one thing, he drinks.
To excess?
Oh, to excess? Well, wouldn't you call it excess when a man never lets a day go by without stepping into those cheap taverns and sitting around with riffraff and people you've never heard of, inviting them over to the house and playing cards with them, giving them food and money, and here I am trying to get Myrtle May started with a nice group of young people. If that isn't excess, I'm sure I don't know what excess is.
I didn't doubt your statement, Mrs. Simmons. I merely asked if your brother drinks.
Oh, yes, he drinks, and definitely drinks, and I want him committed out here because I cannot stand another day of that Harvey. And Myrtle May and I have to set a place at the table for Harvey. We have to move her from the sofa and make room for Harvey. We have to answer the telephone when Elwood calls and asks to speak to Harvey. Oh, we didn't know a thing about Harvey until we got here. Don't you think it would have been kind of Mother to have called and told me about Harvey? I mean, don't you? I just don't understand.
can't answer that question, Mrs.
I can, yes! It would have been kind of her to have told me.
This person you call Harvey, who is he?
He's a rabbit.
That is maybe, but just who is he? Some companion of your brother's?
Doctor, I've been telling you, he's a big white rabbit, 6 foot tall. Or is it 6 feet and a half? Heaven knows I should know. He's been around the house long enough.
Mrs. Simmons, let me make sure I understand you. You say that you see...
Doctor, must I keep repeating myself? My brother insists that his closest friend is a big white rabbit. This rabbit's name is Harvey. Harvey lives in our house. Don't you understand why Harvey and Elwood go everywhere together? Elwood buys theater tickets, railroad tickets for both of them. As I was telling Myrtle May, if your uncle was so lonesome that he had to bring something home, why couldn't he bring home something human? He has me, doesn't he? He has Myrtle May, doesn't he? Doctor, I'm going to tell you something I've never told anyone in the world before. Sometimes I see that big white rabbit myself. There, I've said it. I've never even told Myrtle May that. Oh, what's more, he's every bit as big as Elwood says he is. Oh, don't you tell anyone. I'm ashamed of it.
I can see you've been under a great nervous strain
Well,
recently.
yes, I have.
Grief over your mother's death disturbed you very much?
Oh, no one knows how much.
Have you been losing sleep?
Who could sleep with my brother and a big white rabbit living in the house?
Short-tempered over trifles?
Oh, you just try living with those two and see how your temper holds up.
Any loss of appetite?
Oh, who could eat at a table with my brother and a big white rabbit? Well, I'm done with it. I'll be appointed conservator of the estate and sell the house, and then Myrtle May and I can entertain friends in peace. Oh,
Go on, Mrs. Simmons.
I'm through. I'm done.
Of course, you're tired.
Yes, I'm tired.
You've been under a great deal of strain.
Yes, I have.
And now I'm going to help you. Just sit there quietly, Mrs. Simmons. I'll be right back.
All right. I'll just go down to the taxi cab and get Elwood's things.
Why didn't anybody answer the bell?
I didn't hear you, Doctor.
Well, I rang and rang. Mrs. Simmons? Mrs. Simmons? Send the gong, Wilson. She can't be allowed to leave the grounds.
She may with a getaway, huh, Doc?
Her condition is serious. Go after her.
I can't believe this.
Main gate. Henry, Dr. Sanderson, allow nobody out of the main gate. We're looking for a patient. Shouldn't have left her alone, but nobody answered the bell.
Wilson was in South.
Well, what do we have available, Miss Kelly?
Number 13, Upper West Star is ready.
All right, have her send it there immediately. I'll prescribe preliminary treatment. We've got to get a hold of her brother, Dowd's name. Elwood Dowd. Can you get him on the telephone, please?
But doctor, I didn't know the woman needed treatment. She said it was for her brother.
Well, of course she did. It's the oldest dodge in the world. She's by the most clever of psychopaths. She obviously anticipated that her brother was going to commit her, so she came down here to discredit him. Well, get him on the telephone, please.
But doctor, the woman seemed all right, so I had Wilson take the brother up to room 24 South Wing G. He's there now.
You let Wilson pick the brother up?
I did, doctor, I did.
You're not serious, are you?
No, I did. I'm terribly sorry, doctor.
Well, if you're sorry, that makes everything all right then, doesn't it?
No, let me take care of this. I'll do this. Yes, Miss Dunphy, would you please unlock the door to room 24 and give Mr. Dowd his clothes? And
Ask him to come down to the office right away.
ask him to come down to the office right away. There's been a terrible mistake. Dr. Sanderson would like to explain.
Explain,
exactly-
apologize.
Well, thank heaven they hadn't put him in a hydro tub yet.
Beautiful and dumb, too. You're almost too good to be true.
But doctor, I feel terrible. I didn't know. Judge Gaffney called and said that Mrs. Simmons would be out here with her brother, and then she came in here and you don't have to be sarcastic.
Oh, don't I? Look, don't worry. We'll squirm out of this somehow.
But where are you going?
Well, I've got to tell the boss. He may want to handle this
Oh,
himself.
he'll be furious. I know he will. He's going to die, and then he'll terminate me.
The responsibility is all mine, Kelly.
Oh, no, tell him it was my
No,
fault.
I never mentioned your
It was my
name.
fault.
Except in my sleep.
But this man...
Just keep him here, Kelly. I'll be right back.
But what am I going to say? What am I going to do? He's going to be furious.
He'll probably be tied, but he's a man, isn't he?
Well, his name is Mister, I guess so.
Go into your routine, you know, the eyes, the swish, you know, the works. I'm immune, but I've seen it work on some of the people around here, some of the patients. Just keep it here, Kelly, just even if you have to do a striptease.
Oh, the nerve! Oh, you're wonderful, Dr. Sanderson. You're just the most wonderful man I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, but how about giving me a lift here just the same?
What?
That's Simmons' dame.
Did you catch her?
Slick as a whistle. She was coming down the path, humming a little tune. I jumped at her from behind a tree. I says, "Sister, there's a man who wants to see you." Should have heard her yell. She's wacky, all right.
Take her to number 13 Upper West Star, Wilson.
But she's there now. I brought her into the diet kitchen. She's screaming and kicking like hell. I'll hold her if you'll come and dress her.
In just a second, Wilson. Dr. Sanderson asked me to wait until her brother came down.
Make it snappy.
You're Mr. Dowd?
Elwood P.
I'm Miss Kelly.
Here, let me give you one of my cards. Now, if you should want to call me at this number. Don't call me at that one because that's the old one.
Well, thank you.
Well, it's perfectly all right. And if you happen to lose it, don't worry, I have plenty more, my dear.
Won't you please have a chair, Mr. Dowd?
Yes, I'll have two. Thank you. Allow me.
Dr. Sanderson is very anxious to talk with you. He'll be here in just a minute. Please be seated.
After you, my dear.
Oh, I can't really. I'm in and out all the time. Don't mind me. Please sit down.
After you.
Oh, thank you. Okay, can I get you a magazine to look at?
I'd really much rather look at you, Miss Kelly, if you don't mind. You really are very lovely.
Oh, thank you. Some people don't seem to think so.
Well, some people are blind. That is very often brought to my attention. And now, Miss Kelly, I would like to have
Oh, Mr. Dowd.
Elwood P. Here, let me give you one of my cards.
Mr. Dowd, I'm Dr. Lyman Sanderson, Dr. Chumley's assistant out
Well,
here.
good for you. I'm happy to know that. How are you, doctor?
Oh, well, that's going to depend on you, I'm afraid. I mean, please, would you have a seat? You met Miss Kelly, haven't you, Miss?
I have had that pleasure. And I want both of you to meet a very dear friend of mine.
Oh, some other time we'll be glad to, but please, have a seat, because first I'd like to say...
After Miss Kelly.
Oh, well, have a seat, Miss Kelly. Is that chair quite comfortable, Mr. Dowd?
Oh, yes, doctor. Would you care to try it?
No, thank you. How about an ashtray? Can we get Mr. Dowd that ashtray? Is it too warm in here for you, Mr. Dowd? Could I open a window?
Mr. Dowd, Dr. Sanderson would like to know if he should open a window.
Well, that's entirely up to him. I wouldn't presume to live its life for him.
Well, Mr. Dowd, I can see that you're not the type of person to be taken in by any high-flown phrases or beating about the bush.
Is that so, doctor?
You have us at a disadvantage here. You know it, we know it. Let's just lay the cards on the table.
Wow, that certainly appeals to me,
That's
doctor.
the best way along. People are people, no matter where you go.
That is very often the case, yes.
Being human, are liable to make mistakes. Miss Kelly and I have made a mistake here this afternoon, Mr. Dowd, and we'd like to explain it to you.
It wasn't Dr. Sanderson's fault, it was all
A
mine.
human failing, as I said.
Well, I find it very interesting, nevertheless. You and Miss Kelly here. This afternoon, you say?
We do hope you'll understand, Mr. Dowd.
Oh, yes, yes. Well, these things are often the basis of a long and warm friendship.
Well, and the responsibility is, of course, not hers, but mine.
Well, your attitude may be old-fashioned, doctor, but I like it.
Well, if I had seen your sister first, this would be an entirely different story.
Now, there you surprise me, doctor. I think the world knows Evita, but I had supposed she had seen her day.
Oh, no. You mustn't lay any blame on her. She's a very sick woman. Came in here insisting that you were in need of treatment. That's perfectly ridiculous.
Evita shouldn't be upset about me. I get along fine.
Exactly, but she had already spoken to Miss Kelly, and we had gotten a call from your family lawyer, Judge Gaffney.
Oh, yes, I know him. Know his wife, too. They're nice people.
Oh, can I get you something, Mr. Dowd?
What do you have in mind?
A light.
Oh.
Get you a light. Well, your sister was extremely nervous and came in here and immediately launched into a heated tirade on your drinking.
That was Vita.
She became hysterical.
Well, I tell Vita not to worry about that. I'll take care of that.
Exactly. I'm sure you take a drink every now and again, same as the rest of us.
Well, yes, I do, Doctor. And as a matter of fact, I'd like one right now.
As a matter of fact, so would I. But your sister's reaction to the subject of drinking was entirely too intense. Does your sister drink, Mr. Dowd?
No, Doctor. I don't believe Vita's ever taken a drink.
Well, I'm going to surprise you there. I think that she has and does constantly.
I am certainly surprised.
It's not going to be her alcoholism that will be the basis for the diagnosis of her case, though. It's more serious than that. It's when she began describing very emphatically a giant white rabbit, Harvey. Yes, I believe she called him Harvey.
Harvey's his name.
Well, she told us that you were persecuting her with this Harvey.
I haven't been persecuting her with Harvey. Vita shouldn't feel that way. And now, Doctor, before we go any further, I must insist you allow me to
Please,
introduce
let me make my
my
point first, Mr. Dowd. Your sister's condition did not spring up overnight. It stems from trauma.
For what?
Oh, trauma, spelled T-R-A-U-M-A. It just means shock. There's nothing unusual about it. There are many kinds of trauma. There's the birth trauma, the shock of the act of being born.
That's the one we never get over.
Nice sense of humor, Mr. Dowd. Hasn't he, Miss Kelly?
Oh, yes, doctor.
Well, may I say the same about both of you?
Well, to sum up, your sister's condition is serious, but we can treat her. She will, however, have to remain out here temporarily.
Well, I've always felt that Vita should have everything she needs.
Exactly.
But I wouldn't want Vita to stay out here unless she liked it out here and wanted to stay here.
Oh, of course. Of course. Did Wilson get what he was after, Miss Kelly?
Yes, doctor.
What was Mrs. Simmons' attitude?
Oh, not unusual, doctor.
Mr. Dowd, if this were an ordinary delusion, something stemming from the memory picture, that is to say, if she had seen something she had seen once before, that would be one thing, but this is more serious. It stands to reason that nobody has seen a giant white rabbit 6 feet high.
Not very often, Doctor.
I like you, Dowd.
Oh, I like you too, Doctor. And Miss Kelly, I like you too.
Yeah, well, so she must be committed out here. Under the circumstances, I would commit my own grandmother.
Does your grandmother drink too?
Oh, yeah. It's just an expression. Now, if you'll sign these temporary commitment papers as next of kin, it's merely a formality.
You better have me to do that, Doctor. She does all the signing and managing for the family. She's good at it.
Well, you can't disturb her now.
Well, maybe I should talk it over with Judge Gaffney.
You can tell it all to him later. Tell him I advised it, and it's not like you can't come over here to make inquiries. I'd be glad to have you. Let me make out a full visitor's pass for you. What time would you like to come back? Wednesday, say? Friday, say?
Well, you and Miss Kelly have been so pleasant. I can come back right after dinner, about an hour.
Oh. Well, we're kind of busy around here, but I suppose that would be all right.
I don't have to go now. I'm not very hungry.
Oh, we'll be delighted to have you stay, but Miss Kelly and I have to get upstairs. There's plenty of work to do. But I'll tell you what you might like to do.
What might I like to do?
Well, we don't normally do this, but...
Doctor.
Oh, please. But just to put in your mind that your sister's in good hands, thank you, why don't you have a look around the facility here. Now, if you go through that door, and just past the stairwell, you'll come to the occupational therapy room. Now, beyond that is the library, the conservatory, and the diet kitchen.
Well, for Vita's sake, I believe I'd better do that, Doctor.
All right, well then, it's been very nice having this chat with you, Mr. Dowd.
It's been very nice meeting you, Doctor, and Miss Kelly.
I must say, for a layman, you show a remarkably keen insight into the nature of psychiatric problems.
Is that a fact? I never thought I knew anything about it. Nobody does, do you think?
Well, the psychiatrist is not found under every bush.
Well, you have to pick the right bush. You know, since we've enjoyed this so much, let's keep right on. I would like to invite you both to come with me now down to Charlie's place and have a drink. When I enjoy people, I like to stay right with them.
That's all right. I'll rain check perhaps some other time. Would be glad to.
When?
It's hard to say. Miss Kelly and I don't get off work until 10 o'clock at night.
Well, let's all go down to Charlie's place at 10 o'clock tonight then.
Well,
And you, Miss Kelly?
I'm not sure the doctor doesn't.
Dr. Chumley doesn't appreciate the members of the staff fraternizing. But, well, since you've been so understanding, perhaps we could manage it?
Well, then, it's settled. I will come out here and pick you up in a cab at 10 o'clock tonight, and the four of us will spend a happy evening. Now, I want you both to become good friends with a very dear friend of mine. But you said later on, so later on it'll be. Well, goodbye now.
Whew, now I can breathe again.
Oh, that was a close shave.
Ugh.
Well, he seemed reasonable enough. That man is proud. What he has to be proud of, I don't know, but I played up to that pride. You can get to almost anybody if you want to. I must see about that Simmons woman.
Dr. Sanderson,
Mm-hmm.
you say you can get to anybody if you want to? How can you do that?
Oh, it takes study, Kelly. Years of specialized training. It's just one thing I don't like about this Dowd business.
And what's that?
I'm going to make that date with him. Well, sure, he left here as a good friend and booster of the sanitarium, so I suppose I can go out with him, but you don't have to go.
Oh.
Well, it's no point in it. I'll just go in there, shake his hand, pat him in the back, and leave. I got a date tonight anyway.
Oh, yes, by all means, I didn't intend to go anyway. The idea bored me stiff. I wouldn't go if I never went anywhere again. I wouldn't go if it killed me. I don't...
Oh, and what are you getting so emotional about, Miss Kelly?
You know, he may be a peculiar man with funny clothes, but he knows how to act. His manners were perfect.
Well, I saw you give him the doll stare. I didn't miss that.
He wouldn't sit down until I sat down. He told me I was lovely and he called me dear. I'd go have a drink with him if you weren't
Oh,
going.
of course, and why wouldn't you? I mean, look at him. All he does is go hang around bars. It doesn't work. All that corny bowing and getting up every time a woman makes a move. He's as outdated as a cast iron deer. Could you go out with him and let him buy you drinks and flatter you? You're a wonderful girl, Kelly.
Now, let me tell you something.
Hmm.
Yeah!
Dr. Sanderson?
Oh!
Nurse Kelly?
Yes.
Doctor.
Would you please tell the gardener to prune more carefully around my prize dahlias along the fence by the side of the road? They'll be ready for pruning next week.
Yes, doctor.
Yes, and the difficulty with the woman with the large white rabbit, has it been smoothed over?
Yes, doctor. We spoke with her brother, and he was quite reasonable.
Yes, well, I've had many patients who've seen animals before. I've never had a patient with an animal that large.
Yes, doctor. She called him Harvey.
Yes, Harvey, that's an unusual name for any type of animal. Harvey is a man's name. I've known many men in my day named Harvey, but I've never heard of any type of animal whatsoever with that name. This case has an interesting phase, Doctor.
Yes, doctor.
Yes, I think I'll come upstairs with you and look in on this woman. It may be that we can use my Formula 977 with her. But I will give you instructions on how to give it to her.
Thank you, doctor.
And what is this? What is this? Whose is this on the table?
I don't know,
Whose
doctor.
is it?
Do you know, was it Dowd's?
No, Dowd had his hat on. Maybe it's a book that belongs to a relative of one of the patients.
Nurse, may I see that hat? There may be some identification. It's like, what's this? What's this? Two pairs of hole in the crown of the hat. New fashion or something?
That's strange.
Take this away. Hang it up. Get it out of here.
Hello, Dr. Chumley.
Oh, there you are, Wilson.
How is every little old thing?
Fair, Wilson, just fair.
Look, somebody's got to give you him the Simmons dame. Order a restraining jacket or something. She's terrible. Forgot me, didn't you? Well, I got to course it off all by myself.
Oh, Wilson, we need to go upstairs and look in on this woman.
She's in the hydrotub now. My God, I left the water running over.
Chumley, remember your promise.
Yes, darling.
Hello, Dr. Sanderson. Well, you haven't forgotten Dr. McClure's cocktail party. We promised him faithfully.
That's right, that's right. No, well, I must go upstairs and look in on a patient, but I will be down shortly, my sweet.
Give a little quick diagnosis, Willie. We don't want to be late to the party, and I'm dying to see the inside of that house. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Mrs. Chumley, Dr. Chumley's wife.
Well, I'm happy to know that. Dowd is my name, Elwood P. Here, let me give you one of my cards. Now, if you should want to call me at this number, don't call me at that one, because that's the old number.
Thank you. Is there something I can do for you?
What'd you have in mind?
You seem to be looking for someone.
Yes, I am. I'm looking for Harvey. I went off without him.
Harvey, is he a patient here?
No, nothing like that.
Does he work here?
No. He's what you might call my best friend. He is also a puka. He came out here with me and Vita this afternoon.
Where was he when you last saw him?
Sitting in that chair right there with his hat and coat on the table.
There doesn't seem to be a hat and coat around here now. Perhaps he left.
Apparently. I don't see him anywhere.
What was that word you said, puka?
Yes, that's it.
Is that something new?
Oh, No. As I understand it, that's something very old.
Oh, I hadn't happened to hear it before.
Well, I'm not too surprised at that. I hadn't myself until I met him. I do hope you get an opportunity to meet him. I'm sure he would be quite taken with you.
Oh, really? Well, that's very nice of you to say so, I'm sure.
Oh, not at all. If Harvey takes a liking to somebody, he expresses himself quite definitely. If he's not particularly interested, he just sits there like an empty chair, empty space on the floor. Harvey takes his time making his mind up about people. He's choosy, you see.
Well, that's not such a bad way to be in this day and age.
Now, Harvey is fond of my sister Vida. Well, that's because Vita's fond of me, and Vida and I come from the same family. But now, you would think that that feeling would be mutual, wouldn't you? But Vida doesn't seem to care for Harvey. Don't you think that's rather too bad, Mrs. Chumley?
Oh, I don't know, Mr. Dowd. I gave up a long time ago expecting my family to like my friends. It's
Well,
useless.
well, most people are trying.
Well, I guess there's no harm in trying.
Because if Harvey has said to me once, he's said to me 1,000,000 times, Mr. Dowd, I would do anything for you. Miss Chumley,
Yeah?
did you know that Mrs. McElhaney's Aunt Rose is going to drop in on her unexpectedly tonight from Cleveland?
Well, no, I didn't.
Neither does she. Now, that puts you both in the same boat, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know anyone named Mrs. McElroy.
Mrs. McElhaney, she lives next door to us. She's a wonderful person. Yeah. Harvey told me about her Aunt Rose. Now, that's an interesting little news item, and you are perfectly free to pass that around.
Yeah?
Would you care to come downtown with me now, my dear? I would be glad to buy you a drink.
Oh, well, thank you very much. But I'm waiting for Dr. Chumley. And if he were to come down and find me gone, he'd be likely to raise, he would be irritated.
Well, we wouldn't want that, would we? Somebody tell me.
I tell you what I'll do, however.
What will you do, however? I'm interested.
If your friend comes in while I'm here, I'd be glad to give him a message for you.
Would you do that? I certainly would
You
appreciate
could write it
that.
down on the back of his card.
Okay.
No trouble at all. What would you like me to tell him if he comes in while you're still here?
Ask him to meet me downtown if he has no other plans.
Meet Mr. Dowd downtown. Any particular place downtown?
No, he knows where. Harvey knows this place like a book.
Harvey, you know where. Harvey what?
Well, just Harvey?
I tell you what,
What?
Doctor and I are going right downtown to 12th and Montague. Dr. McClure's having a cocktail.
A cocktail party at 12th and Montague.
We're driving there in just a few minutes. Could you give your friend a lift into town?
Oh, well, I would hate to impose, but I certainly would appreciate that.
Oh, no trouble at all. Dr. McClure is having this party for his sister from Wichita.
I didn't know Dr. McClure had a sister in Wichita.
You know Dr. McClure?
No. Quite sure you had time to come downtown with me now, my dear. I would be glad to buy you a drink.
Oh, I really couldn't, but thank you just the same.
Well, some other time then, perhaps, huh? It sure has been a pleasure meeting you, and I hope you get a chance to see you again sometime.
Well, thank you. I do too.
Goodbye, my dear. Oh, you can't miss Harvey. He's very tall, like that.
Simmons' woman is uncooperative, doctor. She refuses to admit that she has a large white rabbit. Insists it's her brother. Let me see. Give her 2 of these at 9 and another at 10 if she continues to be so restless. A trip to the hydro room at 8 and again in the morning at 7. Then we'll see if she won't cooperate, won't we, doctor?
Yes, doctor.
Well, you know where to find me if you need me. Ready, Pet?
Yes, Willie. And, oh, Willie, there was a man in here.
Yes.
A man named, here is his card, Dowd, Elwood P. Dowd.
Oh, that's Mrs. Simmons' brother. He was just having a look around the facility. I gave him full visiting rights.
No. She wants to see anyone, not anyone at all tonight.
Oh.
Tell him that.
Yes, doctor.
Oh, he wasn't interested in seeing her. He was looking for someone, some friend of his.
Oh, who would that be, Dr. Sanderson?
I don't know, doctor.
It was somebody who came out here this afternoon.
Was there anyone with him when you saw him?
No, when I saw him. Well, he said there was, and the last time he saw him, he was sitting in that chair over there with his hat and coat. He seemed very disappointed. I told him that if we located his friend, he could give him a lift into town. He could ride in the back seat. Would that be okay?
Oh, of course, darling, of course.
Oh, here it is. I wrote his friend's name on the back of his card. It was Harvey. Harvey? He didn't give me his last name. He did say something about his being a puka, but I didn't quite get what that was.
Harvey!
He said his name was very tall.
Um,
Willie, why are you looking like that? This was a very nice, polite man. And he basically asked if we give his friend a lift into town, and if we can't do a favor for someone, why are we living?
Church. Main Henry, Dr. Sanderson, did a man in a brown suit go through the main gate just now? He did? He's gone?
Judge Harvey? Yes, Dr. William Chumley here, the psychiatrist. Yes, we're making a routine checkup on the spelling of a name before entering it into our records. Judge, you telephoned this afternoon about having one of your clients committed. How is that name spelled? With a W, not a U. Mr. Elwood P. Dowd. Thank you, Judge. Dr. Sanderson, your name is Sanderson?
Yes, Doctor.
Oh, you remember that much, do you? Let me see. You graduated from medical school. You specialized in the study of psychiatry. You went forth. Perhaps they neglected to tell you that a rabbit has large pointed ears, and that a hat would have to be perforated to make room for them.
Mr. Dowd seemed perfectly reasonable this afternoon, Doctor.
Doctor, the function of a psychiatrist is to tell the difference between those who are reasonable and those who merely talk and act reasonably. My God, do you know what you have done to me? You have not only permitted a psychopath to walk off these grounds and wander around with a large white rabbit, but you have subjected me to the humiliation of having to call, of all things, a lawyer to find out who came down here to be committed and who came down here to commit.
Dr. Chumley,
Oh, my God. I will now do something that I have not done in 15 years. I will go out and I will search for this Mr. Elwood P. Dowd, and I will bring him back. And when I bring him back, you will be terminated from this institution immediately. Wilson, get me my car. Darling, would you please call the crew and tell them that we can't make it for dinner tonight? Miss Kelly, would you please come upstairs with me and help me get this poor woman out of the tub?
Yes, Doctor. I'll have to tell the cook we'll be home for dinner. She'll be furious. Listen,
Yes, ma'am.
what's a puka?
Oh, what? You can search me, Miss Chumley.
I wonder if it's in this encyclopedia over here. It has everything. I wonder if it's a lodge, what it is. Puka. Oh, I don't dare stop to do this now. Dr. Chumley, if he comes down and finds me still here, he'll raise hell. I mean, I'm here.
P-O-O-K-A, puka, from old Celtic mythology. A fairy spirit in animal form, always very large. The puka appears here and there, now and then, to this one and that one at his own caprice. A wise but mischievous creature, very fond of rum pots, crackpots, and how are you, Mr. Wilson? How are you, Mr. Wilson? Who in the encyclopedia wants to know?